So today I want to talk about something that I am really excited about, and that is intuition and psychic abilities. Now, first, before we get into all the different types of intuitive powers and psychic powers there are out there, I just want to give a disclaimer that everybody in the world has psychic abilities and intuitive powers. It's just a matter of learning how to strengthen those powers with exercises and by balancing those powers. So, me personally, I actually resonate the most powerfully with emotional intuitiveness, with nature intuitiveness, and with telepathy, which is being able to read people's thoughts in certain situations. And those are the ones that I resonate with most strongly. However, there are other intuitive powers that I have tapped into. And throughout my years, I've been able to study and find ways to strengthen these intuitive powers. And as I said, everybody has the ability to strengthen all of these different types of intuitive powers that I'm about to get into right now. So the first one I want to talk about is actually called physical intuitiveness. Physical intuitiveness is when somebody is able to pick up a sensation or an illness in another person. This is when they're around that person, they're able to know what this person is suffering from in regards to physical ailments. And another thing that's really cool about physical intuitives is that they have the power of psychometry, which is being able to pick up an object and basically be able to read the energy from that object and figure out where the object's been and pick up the energy from the object, which I think is really cool because I love history. So that's definitely a power I want to work on strengthening. So I can be able to pick up, old artifacts and old things and be able to basically tell a story. So there's a plane going by. So I'm going to use that opportunity to take some water. So the next form of intuitive power I want to talk about is one of the ones I mentioned as being a part of me, and that's emotional intuitiveness. A lot of times people who are emotionally intuitive are referred to as empaths, and the thing with empaths is that we tend to suffer from depression and anxiety a lot throughout life because we have issues deciphering other people's energy from our own energy. And this is something that I personally have struggled with on my journey on a daily basis sometimes, and I'm still learning today. The other issue that emotional intuitives come into path with is that they'll end up feeling somebody's energy, and the person whom the energy is coming from isn't even ready to admit their own feelings and emotions. So if they bring it up to this person, they'll end up butting heads because they're not ready to express their feelings or their emotions. And so emotional intuitives can sometimes be ostracized because of that, I just want to take a quick step back real quick to physical intuitives and mention that physical intuitives, this actually works with and is most close to the root chakra. So if you're a physical intuitive, you'll have a very strong root chakra. If your power is balanced, you'll have a very strong root chakra. Moving back to emotional intuitives, the chakra associated with this type of intuitive power is the sacral chakra. So if your power is balanced, you'll have a very strong sacral chakra as an emotional intuitive. However, if your power is imbalanced, you might have some issues with the sacral chakra. And before we move on to the other intuitive powers, I would just also like to mention that chakras are within the body. There's so many of them, and we've been taught lately that chakras go down a straight line, but that's actually not true. There's millions of chakras inside of our body, and we use these chakras. So I'm going to go through the rest of the intuitive powers and mention each chakra that they are associated with. So the third intuitive power that I want to talk about is called mental intuitiveness. And this can also be referred to as knowing something without having any evidence to the fact that you know. So you just know it to be true, and it's just a gnosis you have. Okay, so a lot of times mental intuitives will suffer from not trusting themselves and not trusting their power because they're trying to look at it in a logic manner and say, why do I know this? There's no evidence of this. Why do I know this? But it's because they're mental intuitives and they just know this to be true. And so the chakra associated with mental intuitives is actually the solar plexus chakra. So once again, the same thing applies. If you have a very strong and balanced mental intuitive power, your solar plexus will be on point. And we'll get into the chakras later and in regards to how to tell when a chakra is imbalanced or when it's balanced. I'll do that on another episode. This is actually going to be just the first episode of intuitive power. I also plan to do a second episode to let you guys know all the different exercises that you can do in order to strengthen your intuitive powers. So the next intuitive power I want to talk about is called healing intuitive. Healing intuitive is somebody who can prophesize, okay? Somebody who can channel messages from ancestors, from higher self, from guides, from angels. These are healing intuitives, okay? And so they use their power to heal others, to give messages of guidance, to give messages of support from angels and from ancestors and from sacred beings. And the chakra associated with healing intuitives is actually the heart chakra. So what's awesome about healing intuitives is that all of their power is coming from their heart chakra. Something that you might want to look out for if you're a healing intuitive is giving too much of your heart chakra without giving to yourself as well. Because as we all have learned, it's very important to love yourself before you can love anybody else. Okay. So the next spiritual intuitive power I want to talk about is spiritual intuitiveness. So spiritual intuitive powers is when you have the gift to be a medium between spirits and this world. Okay. This is also a really cool power. I personally haven't tapped into it yet, but I also intend to with some exercises, and I'm super excited to do that. The spiritual intuitives are associated with the throat chakra. Okay, so that's pretty awesome because, throat chakra represents our voice, right? And this person is acting as a voice for the spirit world. So the next intuitive power is actually a visual intuitive, and this is the second most common gift, being a visual intuitive. And so the way that you can kind of picture being a visual intuitive is you're going about your day and all of a sudden you get an image of a bird. And this specific bird means something to you specifically. Okay. And it's basically a message, an intuitive message that's being given to you in a visual form. Okay. And so not everybody will have the same visual intuitive powers because higher power, spirit, and higher self knows that, what I see and what something means to me is not what it'll mean to you from your perspective. So, for example, when I see this strawberry, I think red, I think Sunday, I think tasty, love. I definitely think love. So this is if spirit was trying to get a message across to me and I was a visual intuitive and they were trying to say, give me a message of love or give me a message of Sunday or anything to that effect, they would show me a strawberry. So I think that's super cool as well. So the chakra associated with visual intuitives is actually the third eye chakra. So the next intuitive power I want to talk about is prophetic intuitiveness. So this chakra associated with prophetic intuitiveness is actually your crown chakra. And as a prophetic intuitive, you have the ability to bring and to go through spiritual awakening, to prophesize, and to attune yourself and other beings, okay, to the universe, to the energies of the universe. So that is something that a prophetic intuitive can do, as well as prophesizing the future or what's going to happen in a relationship or what's going to happen in a career, anything like that. Okay. So the next intuitive power that we're going to go over, I have my notes over here because there's so many I didn't want to forget, is a shamanic intuitive. Okay, as I said, there's so many chakras throughout the body. So a shamanic intuitive is actually associated with the 8th chakra. And it's located about an inch above your head. Okay, that's what a shamanic intuitive chakra point is at. Here we're moving outside of our physical vessel. okay? And people with the shamanic intuitive power have the ability to tap into Akashic records, and tap into ancestral past as well. Okay, so the next intuitive power I want to talk about is soul intuitive power. So through soul intuitive power, we relate to archetypes in the universe and individual symbolism when doing things as reading a crystal ball or reading tarot cards. This is also something I personally do. And this chakra is located by about an arm's length above the head. So the last two intuitive powers I want to talk about is the one I also most resonate with is actually called a nature intuitive. So a nature intuitive is somebody who really speaks to and with nature. So you can speak through trees, through animals, through plants, through flowers. You are given signs through these different natural beings, and you use nature to decipher your psychic and intuitive abilities. People with the nature intuitive power are actually using the chakras that help us breathe. Okay. And me personally, when I'm in nature, I feel so grounded and I feel like I can finally breathe. And it's so important for us to breathe consciously. And it's something that everybody should try to exercise, as my dear one is always reminding me to just breathe. So that is a good advice for a nature intuitive, is that, you know, when you're feeling overly stimulated and stressed or anxious, to find nature and to just breathe in it. The last power I want to talk about is the intuitive power. The power intuitive. Got a little dyslexic there. But a power intuitive is somebody who manifests their psychic ability by reaching from the power of the heart chakra and pulling it through their body in order to manifest it in front of them in real life, and basically command the power within self to get psychic messages and intuitive messages and guidance. And this is also a really awesome power to exercise, and I also heavily relate with that one as well. So these are all the different type of intuitive and psychic powers that you might even notice in yourself. Within the coming days, I am going to post another video showing you guys different exercises that you can do to strengthen your abilities. So make sure to follow.